Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Hey, Mark, I need you over here so we can review.
I'll be right there. I just have to try this mini game for like the 45th time.
It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. I actually have a little bit of business to take care of up front that I totally forgot about, so I'm springing this on you.
I'm excited.
With no warning.
Yeah.
So
this doesn't normally happen.
No. So my Switch is like our Twitter.
Yes.
At Nincart Society
Yes.
is connected to my Switch.
Yes.
And so I think people are able to like send me friend requests. Right, because they're able, and they may be able to see you as well. I don't know exactly how that works.
I don't think so. But again, we say this a couple times every episode. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell.
Right, but on Switch,
yes,
you can see like if you're friends with people on Twitter. I think
yes, that's
you're
right.
able
That's
to
right.
like send them friend requests. So I've received some friend requests from listeners.
That's great.
Yeah, and I think they're finding me through Twitter. Do not be confused. My username is Ace. So there's zero reason you should know that that's me.
Right, but that is Mark.
Yeah.
Ace is Mark.
I'm
is,
like a
is
Goomba,
KK Slider.
with no, I changed it. I'm a
Oh, you
Goomba with
changed
a
it.
mustache.
Oh, that's
From
interesting.
Odyssey. Yes.
Why did you change it to a Goomba with a mustache?
I don't know. That's just how I was feeling. Some days you're a KK Slider, and some days you're a Goomba with a mustache.
There was a long time in Super Mario Odyssey where I was running around with Mario wearing his black tuxedo and a Waluigi hat. And that just felt right.
Yeah,
to
Gentleman
me.
Waluigi.
Gentleman Waluigi.
All of this is to say that I love when people send me friend requests.
Yes.
And but it might throw you for a little bit of a loop. And in the future you might be like, who's Ace? And the answer is me.
And look, I'm going to put our, or at least my friend code in the description of this episode.
Let's just put both of ours in.
Put them, yeah. I was going to offer that, but I was like, is Mark going to be able to come up with his friend code?
It's saved in my phone.
That's very smart. And then you can be friends with us and play Mario Tennis Aces if that's a game that we're still interested in playing. No spoilers, but what we're doing today is we are having our review discussion of Mario Tennis Aces. Before we get into that, though, we need your help. We need you to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts because that helps people discover us, and we like to see them stars fill up. I was listening to a podcast today where someone was like, leave us a 5-star review, and then they went off on a little thing about like, don't leave like not a 5-star review, but I'm gonna say explore the scale, right? Like, how are we doing this week? Only 3 stars? I wish it was 5, but like, vote your conscience is what I'm saying. I just want you to weigh in, be part of the process.
Yeah. Yes.
Also, I think any review, any rating helps us get more notice, right?
Well, I mean, I would presume a lower rating would negatively affect your ranking in the podcast store, but who am I to say?
Look, nobody knows. Just rate us. We would love it. Here's something you can do that's not going to affect how people discover us one way or the other. We are going to have a conversation about the top 8 RPGs that appear on Nintendo platforms. Ever. So platforms like Nintendo has had some of the platforms with the most revolutionary role-playing games on them. Platforms like the Nintendo 64. Platforms like the Virtual Boy, right? Tons
Remembered
of RPGs.
for their RPGs.
And Mark and I are going to come up with our own lists of 8, and we are going to come up with something definitive at the end of it. But we need your help because we are likely to leave something out of there. The original Dragon Quest, which I will insist on calling Dragon Warrior, that might appear on there. Do you think that's a worthy inclusion? If not, you need to write in and let us know that it's not. Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Mark, is there anything that you suspect we're going to see on this list? Like, make some early predictions here.
I think that Super Mario RPG will be bandied about.
I would agree with that. I would say that the list will likely be heavy with Super Nintendo RPGs from that era
I don't
and that
know.
company.
I don't
You don't
know.
you don't know.
I think that a lot will get proffered up as options, but I
Mm.
don't know how many are actually going to make the definitive eight. Also, we're doing that on August 2nd.
August 2nd is correct. So get your contributions to that to us before then, Nintendo Cartridge Society
At
gmail.com.
gmail.com.
Mark, we have dithered enough. Let us get into our review discussion of Mario Tennis Aces. All right, Mario Tennis Aces. Broad strokes, how do we feel about this thing?
Uh, I bought it expecting to enjoy the adventure mode
Yeah,
primarily. It turns out that I'm mostly just enjoying playing tournaments against the computer.
playing the tennis.
Yeah.
So let's start there because I think there's a lot to say about the adventure mode. And I think that the adventure mode is also where my opinion of the game becomes its most controversial. But just as far as just the nuts and bolts, playing tennis, I think this game is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have been surprised at how much fun just the playing the actual tennis I've been having.
Yeah.
I don't know if that sentence actually
I mean, who cares?
backs out, but
Do you have so when you play, how do you play? Like you said doing like the tournament against like computer opponents?
yeah. So there's the I'm not even sure exactly what like the menu subheading is, but there's the like mushroom tournament, the flower tournament, the star tournament, like
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Just playing that has been the most fun that I've had. I would love to try an online tournament, but my internet does not like
Oh, really?
aces. I have not been able to find a connection at all. Like it'll search for an opponent
Yeah.
and then it'll like match one, but there'll be 0 bars. So after 10
Interesting.
seconds, it'll just drop off. Or there'll be 1 bar for a little bit and
Yeah.
then it'll drop off. I don't know what it is. I don't have any problem with like Splatoon or Mario Kart, but
That's weird.
aces is just a no-go so far.
That has not been my experience. Whenever I do it, it nabs it pretty quick, and I haven't had the same kind of like kind of lag or latency issues that I did with the pre-launch tournament from a couple weeks ago, where like I would get into some of them would be like borderline slideshow where it's basically unplayable, and you know that your opponent is serving because you can like see it happening and you're like, I'm just gonna push the button now and hope that I'm able to return it. That's not like a fun way to do it, and usually a connection that week is going to get interrupted anyway. But one of the things that I really like about the online tournaments is that it doesn't need to sustain a connection for all that long, because like you're really your tournament bracket is going to look different from like other people's tournament brackets, right? Like you just need to be connected to one person as long as you are like interacting with them, and then as soon as you beat them or they beat you, you're disconnected from that person, and your like little chunk of the tournament bracket just like feeds into other people's, which I think is such a cool way to, there's what like 64 of you in one tournament, to kind of make it feel as though you're interacting with a bunch of people when you're maybe interacting with like or 4 or 5, depending on how far you get in the thing. It feels big, even when it's not super big.
I really just want to like connect and participate in one because that's a way that you unlock new characters every month.
Mm. Yes. So there are 3 characters for the next 3 months, right? And so there's a character you unlock for playing in July, which I believe is Birdo, and then one for August and one for September. Do we know what those other?
I don't know what they are. I
Yeah.
didn't know that Birdo was for July.
Yeah, well, Birdo's one of the 3 for sure. And I just assumed it was July because I didn't do any research into it, and I assumed that Birdo is for July. Who do you like to play as?
I've actually been surprised that I've been using Boo primarily.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo is a technical type, right?
No, I think it's a tricky type.
Tricky type.
Uh-huh.
So the tricky ones, yes, that's right. So the tricky ones, they have that like a hook shot.
That's right. Yeah.
So I in the adventure mode, the biggest hang up for me was there's a volley challenge against Kamek, the Magic Koopa.
Oh, I haven't gone there yet.
It's a nightmare. It's the volley challenge. So you have to get to it. You have to get to 400.
Ugh. I mean, I feel like really just this is. I mean, if we're talking about the adventure mode, it's just like insert terrible mini game or like terrible challenge is a nightmare.
Here's I'll disagree. Well, so this is I know that this is not a popular opinion. I loved the dumb little mini games. Um, when it's like when there are targets, either in the form of piranha plants or like Koopa Troopas or Shy Guys, I love having to figure out like, okay, these guys I'm gonna have to use the like zone shots to get. These guys I lob up to hit them down. These guys I had to slice over to. I loved that.
I am currently stuck on after the mansion.
Yeah,
You are at like the base of the snowy mountain.
right. The Shy Guy train.
Yeah, and you have
Yeah.
to like hit the shy guys. I'm stuck I've done it like 4 times and I hate it. I hate it so much.
Okay, 4 times.
I hate
is,
all of these mini games.
4 times is nothing. So this is where I think this is like an unexcusable sin on Mario Tennis Aces' part. It should be easier to retry or restart any challenge that you get yourself into in adventure mode. Every single one of them, you get going, and you're like, okay, I had to get 400 volleys against Kamek. And there's a mast in the middle of this one, so like he can hit something to the mast, and I'm on the wrong side, and whatever. But I can, and you're allowed to miss up to 2 times. If you miss the third time, you're done. And there were times when I'm playing this thing, and again, you get to get up to 400, right? There are times when in the first 2 balls, like that, I would miss and get maybe like 20. I know I'm not going to get 380 in my last ball, and I just want to be like retry, or restart this challenge.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Well, you also can't. So like you fail,
Right.
right? And then instead of just being able to retry immediately, it kicks you out. You have to watch a dumb like
And it's usually 2 lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
But you got to like jam the A button through that.
And then you have to like reselect it,
Right.
start it up. You can skip the preamble, but you have to skip it. You
Yeah.
know, like it takes
And
time to get into it.
Skipping it is the plus button. And this is a weird complaint, but like the plus button isn't as easy to access as the regular face buttons. It's like sunken in a little bit. I'm playing mostly on the pro controller. So I tend to go for it with the thumb of my other hand.
The reach across.
I do a reach across. So like as soon as I've lost something, I develop a new like grip on the controller, so I can like jam on A until I see that I can push plus to skip the scene and then like get back into it.
My problem
It just needs to have a retry option.
My problem isn't so much that the mini games are like challenging, it's that I think that they're not fun.
Hard disagree. I think they're and I understand. I've read reviews for this game. I've listened to a bunch of podcasts. I think I'm the only person who's like, yes, give me those mini games, give me those boss fights. Let me figure out the order. I have to like pop these balloons in or bubbles in the Ghost Mansion level. I think it's a really interesting application of like what the tennis is, and if you want to just play tennis, like the game always gives you that option. It's just not always in adventure mode. And I haven't cleared the adventure mode yet. I'm just chasing Wario and Waluigi back to the original tennis court where we will battle for the Power Stones. But like even when I get stuck on something that is like hard or is taking me a long time to like figure out, it has and I mentioned this sort of briefly in the previous episode, that it feels like the same sort of challenge that I'm getting in the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, where there are moments where I hate it, right? Where I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do this. It feels bad to do it and lose over and over again. But then I actually I can actually perceive myself getting better at both the individual challenge and the game's core concepts.
So that I agree with you is in that I'm not like a very technical player when it comes to games like this.
Yeah.
Like having to learn this I'm a very shallow gamer. Like having to really learn the mechanics of something,
Yeah.
I don't usually think is very fun. And that is one thing that the adventure mode has been very good at is I am a markedly better player because I actually understand the mechanics.
Yeah.
And I am like getting better.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, and I see that this can be a point of frustration, but like the game will not let you move on if you're just using the whatever tactics you use to like beat a computer player or even human players online. Like you need to engage the game on whether it's in a volley challenge or like a mini game or like that target practice thing. Like you need to do what it's asking you to do, and if you're just trying to like muscle your way through it, it won't allow it.
So the challenge isn't really my biggest problem with
Sure.
the adventure mode. For me, I'm disappointed with the presentation.
Which I can totally get. Yeah. We were was it last episode that we were talking about a little bit that it'll do the thing where Mario is like running around this world with Toad, and you'll when you start an encounter, you'll see Mario and Toad, and then you'll see like whatever other character they're interacting with. Maybe it's a Boo or some enemy in the Mario universe.
Right. And in the middle of them is like
The court, basically.
right, it's just like an image
Yeah.
of the location,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll talk about things that are happening, but you don't
You
don't
don't get to
see
see
any
it,
of it.
right?
Like and I understand like time-wise and budget-wise it probably doesn't make sense to like render these things out fully,
Mm-hmm.
but it does make the adventure mode seem like an afterthought.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it kind of is.
I agree, but I feel like with just a little bit more, and obviously compromises have to be
Sure.
made, but with just a little bit more time and money, if they had like fully rendered these cutscenes or made them a little like um uh,
Just a little more
less
active.
static. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That people are always talking about like these power stones. Do we ever even see a power stone? Like we see the
We see a treasure chest
open,
but
but
that's
like
it.
nothing,
Yeah.
just
I
like little things
Yeah.
like that. It's not a deal breaker because who really cares? But it does make it feel I th- I think with those like little niceties,
Yes.
the adventure mode would feel more like fully formed.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. And I think there's also something to the way that we are presented with because you're presented with the adventure mode first. Like when you start playing the game, it kicks you right into adventure mode, and you have to get through like the first tennis match, and a little bit of a cutscene, and then you can like press the start button to see like the main menu and like choose other options. So it does seem like the game is like the adventure mode is the thing, and then here are other ways you can play the game. If it were more like Splatoon, say, and it just kicked you into like a menu and or like into the world and you're playing tennis, and you had to like go out of your way to find the single player content, I think I think first of all that would be different, just setting its priorities differently in game, but also with the way this game was messaged. One of the first things that we were told about it, right, was that like and featuring the return of adventure mode, which is just like you loved on the Game Boy Advance or wherever it was. So I do think that the expectation set by the marketing and by the game itself uh, prioritizes the adventure mode in a way that I don't think it should be
Yeah, has
prioritized.
like done it a disservice.
Yeah, that if they were like, hey, if you're looking for a way to like master the game's myriad techniques, why not go into adventure mode where all that's demonstrated for
Nobody
you?
bought Super Smash Brothers for Subspace Emissary.
That's right. Well, but also when you start Super Smash Brothers, it doesn't kick you right into Subspace Emissary, and you have to back out to just do Smash battles, whatever. What are they called when you're just fighting four players together? Smash battles, whatever, is what I'm going to call them. So yeah, I do think the game does a poor job of uh, telling you what its priorities are.
Who is your go-to character?
So because I've been spending so much time in the story mode, which you would just have to play as Mario,
Yeah.
um, I'm really happy with Mario. Uh, because I participated in the pre-launch tournament and have save data on my Switch. I can play Mario in like classic costume, but I'm like, forget that. Give me his red visor and give me that like cool white polo shirt. I love Mario in this game. He makes me so happy. And when I'm not using Mario, I will use Toad because he's fast. But I feel like I haven't had the opportunity yet to really explore the the whole of the cast. I like Toadette generally speaking, but I haven't really had an opportunity to use her. I like Rosalina as a character, but same, haven't really used
Oh,
her much.
so in the little bit that I've been trying to connect to an online tournament,
Yeah,
Rosalina seems like the character of choice by far. I feel like 9 out of 10 people that I attempt to connect with are
are playing
Rosalina.
Rosalina.
Yeah.
Do you think that's just Rosalina popularity in general, or specific to this game?
I think it's a little specific to this game. I think that she is a little OP,
Oh, okay, all right,
or I think that's why she's the go-to
yeah.
character of choice.
She is also a tricky character. Is that right?
That sounds right. I'm not entirely sure. I
Yeah,
haven't
I
played
guess
as her yet.
I'm not sure either. Um,
But actually, now that you mentioned that, I think that's correct.
yeah. The character types are kind of weird, right?
I don't entirely understand
Like what the difference between
like
tricky and technical.
right or like defense. Like because like Waluigi is like a defensive player, and I'm
Yeah,
not entirely sure what that means.
yeah. I mean, I guess I can understand something like speedy, all around, powerful. But yeah, the other distinctions are a little strange. I do wish that the rest of the game let you um like mess around with rackets like you can in the or like have to in adventure mode, that you collect more rackets. I just got a flame racket, which is cool. It means my racket's on fire the whole time, and when it breaks then I pull out like one that's a turtle shell. But that the regular game is just like, now you get your character, and that's it
Which makes sense, I guess, for online play.
for balance purposes.
Yeah, but I counterpoint to that.
Yeah,
Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has tons of different carts and tons of different like customization options,
yeah.
and I'm sure again that it's just like a sacrifice that had to be made for time or budgetary reasons. But yeah, it would be cool to be able to like customize your character a little bit in these online tournaments.
Yeah, even just the tiniest amount to have a racket with, like if you have a racket that like trades durability for like speed of its swing, or something like that. Just to customize your play style even a little bit.
So is this your, even if it was cosmetic?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Even just that.
So is this the first like, what is your experience with Mario Tennis, I guess is what I'm asking, as a series?
Yeah, so I liked the super old school Nintendo tennis games, like I guess not on the NES, but the Game Boy Tennis, which Mario's like a referee, and I can't remember if it's called Mario Tennis on the Virtual Boy. That's right, I'll bring it up in every episode. I liked that game a lot, but have really been like laying low on the series since then. So like this Game Boy Advance title that has the legendary RPG mode, I never played. I didn't play the like kind of crappy one that was on Wii U or anything like that. What's your experience with them?
I think the most Mario Tennis that I have ever played before was when I was younger. We went on a family vacation, and the resort hotel had like an N64
Great.
type thing in the room,
Yeah.
and so playing like the original Mario
Where you're
Tennis.
like ordering the game from the
Yes,
controller that's
exactly.
like soldered into the wall. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly that. But I have not played any of the other iterations of it. The Wii U version, I think, does have a really poor reputation for being very bare bones.
Yeah.
It seems like one of those titles that they just like pumped out as fast as they could to
Right,
kind
because
of
they're
like
like,
fill
oh
the
my
Wii
god,
U's drought.
oh my god, the Wii U needs something.
Yeah.
Put out that tennis game we're not done with. Yeah, it's I feel like I haven't really um that I haven't really given the game. First of all, I think this is a really good game. I like it a lot and would recommend it with the caveat that like the adventure mode is
Don't buy it for the adventure mode.
don't buy it for the adventure mode, but like if you want to dig deep into what the game has to offer, the adventure mode is a worthwhile thing.
Yeah, and I don't think the adventure mode is awful. I just think it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, well, and I do think that there, from what I've read and what I've listened to, that there are people approaching this just going right into the adventure mode and being like, "What is this? It's too much of a roadblock. It's too much of not playing tennis. Why would I want to do this?" And it's like, well, play tennis and then come back to this when you're looking for something a little
Well,
deeper
and
or
you know,
different.
I bought this game with the expectation that I would be playing the adventure mode,
Right.
and
That's what
that
you were told.
yeah,
Right.
but like even for me, it's like I don't really like sports games. I don't really like sports simulations. You know, I don't know how much joy I'm going to get out of the tennis part, but the adventure mode that interests me. I've enjoyed Golf Story, which you know
Right.
is like a golf RPG. If it's that same sort of thing, I'll really like it. Uh, but even though the adventure mode hasn't panned out, I don't regret buying Mario Tennis Aces. Yeah, I think it's it's a super fun game.
Yeah, and I think it'll have a tail for me personally, because I haven't really dug into local multiplayer. I really want to get Sarah playing the game so that she can be like my doubles partner. And I think that'll be fun. I think this will be a game that if you and I ever play Switch together in the same room, somehow still never happened. That this would be a fun one for us to play together. And I also want to mess around a little bit with the simple mode, which turns off a lot of the, like all of the meter stuff, the trick shots, the zone shots, all that stuff, and just play some like straight up tennis. Like there are modes and options in this game I haven't even explored yet, and I'm still having fun with it. And really, I've only done the sort of bare minimum of online tournaments since the game actually came out. I probably put like 4 or 5 hours into online tournaments during the pre-release tournament. So like, yeah, I don't know. I think that for me, at the very least, the game is going to have a pretty long tail.
I feel like for me, this game will kind of occupy that Splatoon 2 and Mario Kart
Yeah,
space where I don't know how much I'm going to really like. It's going to be at the top of my playlist,
yeah,
but every once in a while, I'm going to want to hop in, do a couple of matches, and I
right.
think it's like a
Just have
fun,
like
like
a little,
satisfying experience.
yeah, like a fun like drop-in experience. And this is also one where I could see having fun with people locally. Haven't actually, like I said, haven't actually tried it yet. But like, hey, do you want to play a couple rounds of tennis? Sounds fun to me. Just like Mario Kart.
Only this is tangentially related to the game, but I played the majority of the time in a car because I went on a little bit of a car trip this past weekend,
Yeah.
and again, just like the promise of the Switch,
Oh yeah.
where it was
Take
like,
this bad boy on the go.
yeah, I need to play this for so we could talk about it on the podcast, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to be home to do it, but
just
I
take
just
it
like
with
took
you.
it with me. It was pretty cool.
That's great. Do you have any hopes for, we know that there are new characters coming out. I imagine those characters are already in the game. That's not really DLC. But, oh, and that's the other thing is that if you don't participate in these contests or the tournaments, you will get the characters just a month late. Is there anything else that you would like to see come to this game that would maybe make your experience different or better or anything like that?
I will be interested to see if they do a sort of like uh Splatfest, or what's the arm like punch
Yeah,
party or
it's
whatever it's called.
called Punch Party. That's not right at all, but it's a punch party.
Yeah. But I would like to see if they do something similar with
Hmm.
the online tournaments. I don't know exactly what that would look like.
Yeah,
Uh but and I would love for online tournaments to work for me in general.
it's weird that they're not, but
It
yeah,
is, especially since they worked during the
the
test.
test. Yeah, that is weird.
But yeah, I think there's like room to keep it continually engaging, like
Yeah,
for people like me who aren't going to play a lot of it, but will be able to pop back in, maybe to like participate in this online tournament.
yeah. I would say your sort of suggestion earlier of just cosmetic changes to rackets would be great. If they could patch that in there. And then also for the adventure mode, restart challenge, retry challenge.
Oh yeah, that would be great. That would be such a huge quality of life improvement if they took the time to patch that in.
Because some of those, I mean, like, I can't tell you how many times I started that Kamek volley challenge. Like, again, I probably did it 30 times. Like, honestly, probably did it 30 times. And if the time between losing one match and starting the next one was less than, 60 solid seconds, that would be great. Like, that's that much more fun than I would actually be having.
Oh, I've got to tell you, you having to do that like 30 or 40 times makes me not
wanna
super
try.
eager to like continue through
Here's the
the
thing.
adventure mode.
I feel really good now at keeping a volley up forever and like keeping that Kamek down. All right. Any final thoughts on Mario Tennis Aces?
I'm actually surprised at how much fun I've been having with it.
Yeah. Me too. And am also surprised by how much I seem to be enjoying punishing myself with the adventure mode, which I will acknowledge is a punishment, but a punishment that I like. All right, Mark, let's close this out. And that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. I would love to know what everyone else's experience with this game has been. And again, I'm going to drop our friend codes into the episode description here. So if you haven't already friended Mark and I, get on that. Maybe get disconnected from Mark next time you try to do it.
I remember that
tournament.
Mark is named Ace
Mark
online.
is named Ace. Patrick is not confusing. He's just named Patrick. But if you, yes, would love to hear your experiences with this game. So email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Remember, please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, we would love for you to share it on Facebook or Twitter. On Twitter, we are at NinCart Society. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell. And on Facebook, we are just Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying, thanks for listening.
Campfire.